Hey guys, it's Loyota Review, and we're going over the revised Season 14 ADC tier list. Now, let's go straight into it, where I was including bruiser items because I was thinking these items may be good, and if ADCs are going to be tankier, that they could have a place in their build. But for the most part, they're not too important to really focus on and what we're going to be doing. So we're going to put them all in situational for now. What you do have to know about the current meta is that on hit and lethality are quite good. These are kind of the driving forces for most builds at this point, and those are the ones we're going to focus on initially. So collector is kind of an S tier item. It was kind of a meme item for so long because people always said, oh, you're building collector over going Lord Doms. And yeah, that's true, but the thing is, because lethality items and because crit items in general are not as strong per se, this makes it a really good starting item, like for a first item, right? Especially because now it has 60 AD. That is very considerable. I'm pretty sure IE got minus 580, so it's only 65, so it's a really, really good start. This lets you branch off into core crit as well if you want to, or you can do an initial lethality item and go into this. So that's where you'll see like Ghost Blade, and then the Voltaic Cycle Sword, or whatever it's called, sitting at the A tier if you're going into, again, certain lethality items. Because you can push into this, and then at the top is Lord Doms. Why? Because Lord Doms, they both got a little bit more AD. Also, because Grudge is so heavily nerfed, it's basically in D tier. You'll almost never go this item, which makes your last pen item choice for the most part being Doms, and this is just kind of clears it. There's also one other though, and I'll go over it a little bit later, which is Terminus, but we'll just focus on this for now. So this is S tier. All right, these lethality items, these are just the best. Great start. Good item to always build if you're going into crit with collector. Good lethality items to focus on. Ghost Blade. Also, I don't think I added opportunity. Opportunity could be an option, but a lot of players, and I can understand, are focusing on the MS portion of Ghostblade, especially because bot lane is so heavily ganked. Having this first is actually kind of nice to be able to escape those situations. And then this kind of gives you a nice slow, and it's a very good driving force for a champ like Jhin, for instance, to go. Also, in the A tier is Stormrazor. So Stormrazor actually got 5 more AD like collector, and it has 60 AD. It's not as OP per se, but it's a very good item. If you had to choose between like, okay, I'm gonna go normal crit versus like lethality, like some lethality version per se, this would be your choice. A great starting item. Kraken is also, it's like between these two right now. It just like, if you need to be able to have faster attacks, right, and be able to upkeep your damage, this is a great item. Like you still see Jinx like taking this item over Stormrazor. And this item now synergizes with Rage Blade, where Rage Blade, actually I might put it at B tier for now, but it synergizes with Rage Blade again, where it has like the phantom hits, whereas before it did not have that interaction with Rage Blade because they nerfed that out. So now it has it back, which is always a huge plus for on hit. And that's where we see, where is it? Oh god, I don't have it on here. Hold on. I gotta go into this real quick. I gotta add it. That's where we see Blade of the Ruin King in S tier. Again, driving force for all on hit champs. You're building Blade of the Ruin King first, not Rage Blade, Blade of the Ruin King. And you know what that also does? I was pretty low on Terminus, but this item is actually pretty amazing. It's around like 92-95% gold efficient on buy, and then when you get the stacks, it goes up to a staggering 170%, which is just no other item even reaches this point. If you do these two items, so Blade of the Ruin King and Terminus, I have found that if you go into tank afterwards, these two items probably do enough and you become unkillable. Like you'll have maybe like an enchanter with you that can give you Ardent on hit procs, along with maybe like Lulu with like her shield, like her pixie damage as well. you're a force to be reckoned with. So I've definitely on a bigger high for Terminus for on-hit champs now. And this also does swing Rageblade into, because it's not dependent on crit, it's kind of in the A tier as well. Again, on-hit, lethality are all the items that you're kind of staring at and like admiring. And so that's why it's placed there. Triforce is C tier. It's just not great. Really not great. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's only good for Ezreal, no other champ. I know Draven might pick it sometimes, but I'd rather pick this than this. I'd rather pick Collector than Triforce. Stormrazor D tier, just terrible item overall because of the nerfs they gave it. RFC, do I even have RFC on here? Dude, how do I not have RFC on here? Incredible. Well, RFC would be like C tier. Like, it's like, again, fine. PD, it's a fine buff. Like, it'd be in B tier. It's a fine buff because the attack speed comes right away, versus having to wait for the stacks. But I had a S tier initially because I thought, holy shit, this item like just sounds so good. And it does sound so good still, but like I just don't really see it being built too often. Which either that's just a case of maybe people are underestimating how good it is, or it's just not actually that good. Oh, Blade of the Ruin King was here, by the way. Amazing. ER, again, it's like a B tier. It's still a gold efficient item. It's an okay item, but almost no one will ever build it. Man Immune is still going to be in the situational. The Hydra is in D tier. It's just not good because you just don't get the procs. Wit's End is still a D tier, even though I do see people build it for this on hit because you get additional attack speed, which is nice, and you get the MR value. So maybe it might be here, but for now, like, I'm just gonna put in D tier because overall it's I'm just not the biggest fan of it still. Like, I've seen people do this into the like Bork into Rageblade into Wits, and it can work, but it's, I don't know. I'd rather go something else. I'd rather tech into having my pen or having Rageblade and then teching into something a little bit, teching into just Terminus after that and just get the stats that way versus going to this, the Wits. Maw, it's okay. Like, it's a good item. It's just not seen as much like priority. The extra lifesteal, but you lose the attack speed. It's a good item. Maybe I put in B tier. Like, Shield Bow is definitely a good item. Like, BT is still a good item. But as you can tell, it's kind of, these items are kind of like underneath the core set up here. Still a great item. You know, if your champion needs the CDR, you're gonna pick this. Same with IE. You know, like, it's not, I mean, I could put it up here maybe even, but I'll probably put it in A tier just because it's not like the instant priority that you want, but it's so good that you're probably gonna go it typically anyways. Of course, GA is situational, and then, I mean, this item's kind of dead. Like, you're just never gonna go this item overall. And this is kind of how the scope of ADC items are gonna look for now, until we see maybe nerfs or maybe changes on how people play. But again, lethality, really good. On hit, really good. Certain core crit items are good as well, especially if you're going to Collector and you're teching into those. You're never gonna go things like Stormrazor. Like, RFC would probably be like situational, honestly, because you're just going for that extra range in the first place. But if you need direct DPS, you would go PD over it. And that kind of sums it up, honestly. It's, you just have to find your way. So if you're looking at the tier list, if this loads, and you're looking at the champs, you know, you're going to be looking at like Aphelios with lethality, really good. Kaylin, lethality was nerfed, so it's not as good, but naturally you see Draven's up here. Ezreal's hard struggling. Jin's doing pretty good. Jinx is doing pretty good because she can depend on like a couple different items, and enchanters are buffed. Kallista's doing decent. You know, Samira thriving again. One of the big drivers for like the Collector, along with Neela, who's now S tier. Like, you can see where this is going, right? So that is my thoughts on the ADC Season 14 items. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.